Starting off with crochet, put your shoulders back, relax a little bit. This is a worsted weight yarn acrylic. It has a little bit of stretch to it, not a lot, and you can see kind of the thickness there. The matching hook for it is a 5mm hook, or an H if you use US terms. And the first thing you'll need to know how to do is make a slip knot. So grab the yarn with your right hand and hold it like this, and here's your yarn end, and the working yarn is over here. And I'm just holding it like this, pinching it, and to make a slip knot, grab it with your left fingers and wrap it around your fingers like that. So now you have a loop, and once you have this loop, grab the loop closest to you and pull the working end of the yarn into the loop. And now you'll have what looks like here. You can see how the yarn end is knotted on the inside, and you have this loop created, and when you pull on that yarn end, it tightens it into a slip knot. So you can place your hook inside that loop into the slip knot and pull on your yarn working end and on your hook to close the slip knot up into the size of your hook. So now you have your slip knot onto your hook. I'll show you that one more time. To undo the slip knot, you simply pull on the yarn end and the working end, and the slip knot comes undone. So again, pinch the working end with your right hand finger and thumb, grab it again with your left thumb and finger, wrap it around like so. So now you have kind of an X, and grab the end closest to you and pull the end into the loop, making it a slip knot, and pull the yarn end down to tighten that slip knot. And there you have it. Put your hook inside your slip knot, pull the working end, and now you have a slip knot on your crochet hook. The way I like to hold my yarn is I wrap it first around my finger, and then I wrap it around my first finger from the inside of my palm to the outside. So it looks like this. And then I will hold the yarn and the yarn end with my middle finger and my thumb. The way I hold my hook is just like this, and I just have it comfortably in there, holding it really with my first and thumb. And holding the yarn is really the most important part, how you hold the yarn. I like to wrap it once around my pinky to create tension, and wrap it up around my hand, my finger, to also create that tension there. So once you have the hook and your yarn set on your hand, yarn over. And what yarning over means is you're gonna wrap that yarn around your hook like so. You're gonna use that hook wrapped around the yarn and pull it through the loop on the hook, this loop right here. So pull it through, and voila, look, you made your first chain. Okay, so let's do it again. And with your left hand finger, middle finger and thumb, I just like to hold that down for some tension. Wrap the yarn around your hook again, pull it through to make your second chain. As you're going, I'm drawing more yarn up through there, and I'm moving my thumb and middle finger up on the piece that you're creating, and I will bring my right hand with the hook forward and wrap it around, and then pull it through the loop on your hook for your third chain. 1, 2, 3. You do not count the loop on your hook. So again, yarn over, turn your hook downward, pull it through the loop on your hook, and do it again. Yarn over, yarn through the loop on your hook. Do it again. Do it again. And let's work about 10 total chains. And if you're not sure, we can go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then the loop on your hook doesn't count. So what you're going to do next is start doing single crochet into your chain. So you kind of turn it so that the chain is grasped by your left hand. And to do a single crochet, you start on the second chain from the hook. That's your first one, that's your second one. So the very first row, you could go through both loops if you wanted, but I find that really difficult to catch both loops as you crochet through, so I tend to just go through the top or the back loop only when I do my first row of single crochet. So to do single crochet, I started there kind of, but first thing you'll do is go through that top little loop there on your second chain, go around, yarn over, just like that you did before. Pull it through that loop. So now you're going to have 2 loops on your hook, 1, 2. Yarn over again and pull through both of those loops on your hook, and there's your first single crochet. I typically like to mark that with a stitch marker of some sort, however you like to do it, to make sure you remember which one is your very first stitch in your row, because sometimes you could confuse that to be your first stitch, but that's not. That was your first chain that you skipped. So it's this one is the very first single crochet. There's one. Now to do it again, you go through again that top loop of your stitch, go through there, yarn over and pull it through that top loop of that chain stitch, and you have 2 loops in your hook, yarn over like so and pull through those 2 loops, and look, there's your second single crochet, 1 and 2. Doing it again, go through that top loop, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through both loops for your third single crochet. You're going to do a total of 9, so again go through, and there's your fourth one. Go through the top loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2, and you can see you have 3 chains left. 1, 2, 3. So 3 more single crochets to go before you turn your work. There's 1, and there's 2, and then here's your last one. So you've completed your first row of single crochet. Hopefully you've marked your very first stitch here with a stitch marker so you don't get confused, because you're going to turn your work and start over here and go back down this way. So to turn your work, you're going to flip it over like this, and so now that working end is held by your left hand. You can see you still have the loop on your hook and directly into that last single crochet you worked. Chain 1, and that doesn't count as a stitch. That just helps lift your work up a little bit, but just chain 1 and doesn't count. Insert your hook into both loops now of your single crochet. So you're single crocheting into your single crochet row. So you're going to go into those 2 loops there, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops in your hook, and there is your first single crochet for your second row. And this is where you should put your next stitch marker, so that you don't, when you come back around, you don't get confused and forget which stitch to go into. It's very clear if you mark it with your stitch marker right there. Second single crochet stitch is right here. Put your hook through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those. Now you have 2 loops in your hook, like so. Yarn over and pull through both loops, and there's your second single crochet. So let's do that again. You're going to do a total of 9 all the way back across. So count your stitches if you don't have a stitch marker. There's 3, there's 4, and then next go through both loops, yarn over again and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through. You can see you have 3 more, yarn over, yarn over, yarn over, yarn over, and then here's your last one, which is where your stitch marker should be. And you can tell it's your last one if you don't have a stitch marker, just because you can tell it's your last real stitch from your first row, really. There's your chain row here, and then this was the first single crochet row, and that was your very first stitch that you did, which is now the last stitch of your second row. Yarn over and single crochet, and there you have the last stitch of now your second row. Turn your work again by flipping it, and so holding that working part with your left hand. Now you should have what looks like this. It was the chain of 10. Then you turned your work and you skipped the first chain, and then that means you had 9 chains left to single crochet into. So you did 9 single crochets into that very first row. Then you turned your work and you chained 1, that's this, and then you did 9 single crochets into each single crochet from row 1. So 9 single crochets this way, 9 single crochets this way. And then now we're going to do the same thing where you can chain 1 again, and then you single crochet into each of the 9 single crochets you did from row 2. And you would continue doing that, and you would, continue to grow your project in height. If you wanted it wider, then you would have had to chain longer chains this way so that it would have been a wider project. And then you just keep doing rows further up to make it a taller project or a longer project. The next thing I'll teach you is how to do a double crochet. So if you're starting here, go ahead and you chain your first chain, which doesn't count as a stitch, just to grow it up and make it a little higher so you can start working into that first stitch easier. To do a double crochet, instead of going into the stitch first like you would in single crochet, you're going to yarn over first and then go into the stitch. Yarn over and pull through. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. And if you remember, the single crochet only had 2 loops on your hook. So you have 3 now. You'll yarn over, and for double crochet, what you'll do is pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, but leave the 3rd on there. So you pull through 2 loops on the hook. And now you have 2 loops left on your hook, so you yarn over again and pull through those last 2 loops on your hook. And that's a double crochet. So your very first double crochet is right here, but remember you have your chain 1 as well. So yarn over again, wrap the yarn around your hook, find that second stitch, place your hook into that stitch, which is those 2 loops right there, the front loop and the back loop, front and back. Yarn over again and pull through those 2 loops. That stitch, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the last 2 loops on your hook. And now you've made your second double crochet. So let's continue doing all the way to the end of this row. Yarn over, go through those 2 loops for that stitch, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 3 double crochets now. So yarn over again, go through the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and go through 2 loops, and then yarn over and go through 2 final loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over. And what I'm doing with my left hand here is I'm moving, or I'm holding the work further down as I work on it, and it's just easier to control the crochet project if you're holding it close to your stitch you're working into. Helps create the tension where you need it. So I yarn over, and you can see on my left hand I'm moving over now to hold right underneath that stitch to make it easier to find and to apply pressure where I need it to. And then you can see I'm holding the whole project now to yarn over and yarn over. Last 2 stitches here. There's your double crochet, and then your last double crochet you can see is right there, which hopefully you've used a stitch marker, and you can remove your stitch marker so you can place your final double crochet for this row. And over, and that is your row 3, which is double crochet. So again, we did the chain, which is the first one. Then row 1 we did single crochet, row 2 we did single crochet, and now row 3 we've done double crochet. Turn your work, chain 1, yarn over, go through, yarn over through 2, and yarn over through the last 2. And there is your first double crochet. So continue doing double crochet all the way to the end of this row, which is row 4. And then when we get to the end, we're going to go into how you do half double crochet. All right, now let's finish off your double crochet row by continuing to do the same stitch I showed you earlier all the way to the end. And once we get there, I'll show you how we do the half double crochet, which is the height that's really between the single crochet and the double crochet. It's a lot, I think it's easier to do than double crochet. There's one less step in it than double crochet, but one more step than single crochet. So you get to the end, remove your stitch marker if you had it there, and now we're going to turn our work by putting it into our left hand, chain 1, and now half double crochet. Half double crochet, yarn over, place your hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through that stitch, and you should have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, and now you will go through all 3 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, like that. And there's your first half double crochet. So yarn over again, go into your next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And what helps is by using your left hand and pinching and pulling downward a little bit to create a little bit of a gap into those loops, so it's easier to pull your hook with the yarn through it. So again, I've yarned over, and now I'm kind of pulling down with these fingers. I'm pulling down on my crotch a little bit and lifting up with my hook to create a little bit of a gap inside those loops to make it easier to pull my yarn through it. Yarn over and pull through the 3. Now you have 3, and pull through all 3. So that's half double crochet, which I think is easier than double crochet because there's less steps to it, and it's fast, it's a fun one. It's probably one of my more favorite basic crochet stitches. Now as you get to the end of your work, you know it's your last stitch. If you didn't use a stitch marker, by looking at your work here, you can see those 2 loops, your front loop and your back loop, and then this was the chain 1 that we did in the very beginning. Don't forget to yarn over because we're doing half double crochet. Go through that last stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 3. And that is the half double crochet. Okay, so now turn your work, chain 1, that doesn't count as a stitch, and then yarn over and do your half double crochet again. Go through that first stitch, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Continue doing half double crochet along your row here, and when we get to the end, I'll show you what the next stitch will be. So you've done 2 rows single crochet, which are these 2 rows here, and then you did 2 rows of double crochet, which are these 2 rows here. Now you've completed 2 rows of half double crochet, which are these 2 rows here. So the first one was your chain, and then you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total rows. And the next thing we're going to work on is your treble crochet. It's not commonly used, but we'll go ahead and learn it anyways. So because it's such a tall stitch, I actually like to chain 2 because it's a lot taller of a stitch. So you can chain 2, which doesn't count as anything. You could chain 1 if you wanted, but chaining 2 helps me. Now you have to yarn over twice. Yarning over twice, 2 loops from the yarn over plus the loop on your hook. Place that hook through that first stitch, yarn over and pull through the stitch, and now you should have 4 total loops on your hook. 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. 1 and 2. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. 1 and 2. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. 1, 2. And there's your first treble crochet. See what I mean, how tall it is? Put the yarn around your hook twice, like that. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Go through that second stitch, yarn over and pull through. 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Yarn over, pull through the second 2. Yarn over and pull through the last 2. There's your second treble crochet. Do it again. Wrap the yarn around your hook twice. Go through that next stitch. Pull the yarn through. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. And yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Now you have 3 treble crochets. Continue doing this. I'll show you again one more time. Wrap it around twice. 3 loops on your hook. Go through that first stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops. This stitch is a very tall stitch. It's loose, so it does have a lot of gaps if you do a large project with it, but it is a quick one to do up. So if you want to do, say, a quick blanket, you could use treble crochet. If you wanted to make even a scarf, treble crochet is a nice touch to it. And I like to mix it sometimes with other stitches. It's not super commonly used because it is such a tall stitch that it's not a very stable stitch because of how tall it is, and it does have a lot of gaps. And I'll show you here in a second. So I've completed my row. See how tall it is, and what I mean by the gaps is because it's such a big stitch, it does have a lot of gaps in between. So that was your treble crochet, your half double crochet, double crochet, and single crochet, and your chain.